Welcome to Empowered Kids Village Talk. You're here because you know that every family has the potential to be great, and you're willing to push the boundaries of your mindset so that you can create the family of your dreams. Now, today's Village Talk question comes from Roxanne, and Roxanne writes, "My kids and I have a great relationship where we talk frequently and openly. But when it comes to having conversations where emotions are high or there's strong differences of opinion, we usually end up in conflict. Do you have any tips on how we can have difficult conversations while maintaining our connection with each other?" Roxanne, that is a wonderful question. And I have to tell you, I spent a lot of time studying this because I was absolutely awful at it. Difficult conversations are inevitable in all our families. The stakes are high and we have to make decisions in a way that really still maintain those connections with our kids and our loved ones. Neuroscience and high level negotiation has given us 5 core skills that, if we master, can be used to make any conversation lighter and help us get to those all important decisions without the heartache. So let's go through those 5 key skills now. The first key skill is to remember to set yourself up for success. I used to go around replaying conversations in my mind in terms of how they will happen. I would look at what someone did to make my life difficult, and I'd play that over and over in my mind, and I'd get there ready to have the conversation filled with a negative emotional charge. There is no wonder why all of my difficult conversations failed miserably to achieve connection. Setting yourself up for success means working through your emotions so that you can approach that conversation knowing that you've dealt with your emotions, you've taken full responsibility for the way that you feel, and you can sit in a calm way, solely focused on finding a solution that works for everyone. Step 2 I got from Stephen Covey. Begin with the end in mind. Now, let's be clear about what this means, because I used to think that getting someone to do what I wanted them to do, or to come to the conclusion that I was right, was beginning with the end in mind. No surprise here that that's not what Stephen Covey meant. To begin with the end in mind really means to think about, how do you want this person to feel during and after your conversation? Do you want them to feel a sense of trust? Do you want them to feel that they're in a safe space where they wouldn't be judged? Do you want them to know that you're willing to do whatever it takes to work to a solution that meets both of your needs? If you can begin with the end in mind, if you can visualize how you want to feel and how you want the other person to feel during your conversation, it provides a map for you so that during the conversation you can tell when you're on and when you're off track, and you'll find it easier to get yourself back on track when you slip off. So begin with the end in mind is key skill number 2. Key skill number 3 is create a safe space. We need to feel safe in order to be able to access that rational part of our mind. Any interaction that is viewed as a threat triggers our primitive minds, and we move into fight, flight, or freeze. And we move there quicker than our rational brains can even react, blocking off any opportunity for us to learn or to connect. What does creating a safe space mean for our interactions? Well, really what it means is that we need to be observant, and we need to look for signs and clues that will give us an indication that this person that we're speaking to doesn't feel safe in this moment, so that we can change our interaction, change our tone, change our message, change our words, so that we have a greater chance of connecting. So here are some signs to look for. The first sign is silence. If the other person looks totally disengaged and they're just sitting there waiting for you to finish, you have lost them. That person does not feel safe. Think about what is going on, how that person is feeling, and again, ask yourself the question, how do I want this person to feel right now? And that will guide what you say, the tone you use, how you use your body to build connection. The second sign to look out for is attempts to escape. People use their body language to give a sense of, I feel safe and comfortable here, or I'm going to turn away and escape. If the person you're talking to has a body language that says, I'm going to face the door, I'm going to face away from you, I will look everywhere else but at you, in that moment, that a person isn't feeling safe. Again, ask yourself the question, how do I want them to feel? And come back to building that connection. The third thing to look out for is sabotage. Sabotage can be defined as any verbal strategy to get someone to change their opinion and accept yours. Using any sort of verbal or emotional strategy to have someone release their own opinion so that they can adopt yours is a threat. And it's viewed as a threat by our minds, and it locks us into that primitive mind so that we lose the ability to hear each other and really connect. The key here is to not get so caught up in the content of your conversation that you can't take the opportunity to observe the cues that are being given from the other person as you speak. This is the step that I was worse at. I was horrible at creating safe spaces. I was great at looking for signs and cues, but I used those signs to create a space that was even more unsafe for the people that I was talking to. I would point out that they were being defensive and rude and argumentative. Now, when I see these cues that suggest that someone isn't feeling safe, I take a deep breath and I ask myself, how do I want to feel? And how do I want this person to feel in this conversation? And I make the adjustments. The fourth step to help with difficult conversations is to remember that your perception is incomplete. This for me was the greatest gift of studying neuroscience. I was able to realize that my view of the world, my perception, will always be incomplete. That means it will never, ever, ever be the whole truth. It cannot be, simply because of the way our brain functions. Our brain takes information in, it filters it based on our previous experiences, and then creates meaning. That's the reason why several people can have the same experience and all walk away with a different meaning from that experience. When you remember that your perception is incomplete, it drives curiosity to understand, how does someone else see the world? How does someone else see this situation? And if you can approach all of your conversations with that sense of curiosity, it would leave room for greater levels of understanding. Tip number 5, and again, I got this tip from Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey says that we should work towards synergy. Now, usually we know what win-win means, but win-win means that I have to give up some of what I want and you have to give up some of what you want so that we can both be happy. Synergy is different. Synergy is understanding that we're going to come together and I'm going to work to understand what you need and you're going to work to understand what I need, and together we'll create a third solution that seeks to meet both of our needs. When families work towards synergy, it creates connection even through those difficult conversations. Kids especially love working towards solutions together. I'd like to tell you that now I am great at having difficult conversations, but that simply wouldn't be the truth. The reality is this is a journey for me and I get better and better every day because I know that this requires mastery if I am to develop the deep connections within my relationships that I want. Now, instead of approaching my conversations with the aim of being right, I approach my conversations with the aim of understanding the other person so that we can find a path towards action that leaves us all feeling happy. Now I have my conversations by taking responsibility for how I feel even before I enter those conversations. And I approach that conversation from perspective of asking for help. So I will say something like, when you did X, I interpreted that to mean Y and walked away with this feeling. I know that's not what you meant because I know you and I know that you love me. But I need your help. I need your help to discuss this so that I can gain some clarity around this subject and release this meaning and this belief that I know isn't true. When you approach a conversation like that, you remove all forms of defensiveness. I know I remove all forms of defensiveness that I previously triggered in the other person. Remember, this isn't an overnight change, but if you stay committed to these 5 strategies, up for success, begin with the end in mind, create a safe space, know that your perception is always incomplete, and synergize, you will see that over time you develop greater mastery over having difficult conversations, over having every conversation, every type of conversations. Your conversations will be filled with greater joy, greater excitement, and most importantly, greater connection. Remember, the conversation always continues at empoweredkidstv.com. Come on over and share how you manage difficult conversations within your family successfully so that we can all get some extra tips to add to these 5. And remember, it still takes a village. So if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and share with a family and friend. We are all just one connection away.